Hi guys, happy Wednesday. On your task cards, I want to go over three of these examples. I'm going to go over number 13, number 15, and number 19. Okay, so when you guys are doing these, couple things, okay? 13 was a hair tricky. So let's talk about, a lot of you did a couple good things, okay? So if this is asking you to find the perimeter, remember what is perimeter? Distance around the outside. Okay, so I want to know the distance around this entire semicircle or half circle. Okay, so we know if I had a whole circle, the circumference would give me the entire distance around the circle. So I only want half. So what do you think you're going to do with your answer once you get the circumference? Hopefully you said divide by 2. Okay, so the distance around the outside, perimeter, remember that's your circumference. So our circumference formula is C equals pi d. So I want to see you guys writing these formulas on your paper. Some of you are submitting some work without that part. Okay, that indicates to me as your teacher that you picked the correct formula, not the area formula, or that you wrote it correctly. Okay, so to find your circumference, we're going to multiply pi by your diameter. Remember, the diameter is the entire distance across the circle going through the center. So were we given a diameter here? We have the entire distance, so yes, times 5. And remember, we only want half of this, so what are we going to do to this? We are going to divide that by 2. So you guys can grab your calculator and punch that all in at the same time. So pi times 5. And that's what you would get for the entire circumference, but we only want semicircle, half of the circle. So I'm going to divide by 2. Remember, half of it you divide by 2, not divide by 1/2. Okay, so the distance from here to here is about 7.85 meters. Okay, that's meters. Now, if it's asking the perimeter, so if I wanted to put fencing around the outside of this, we can say basketball court, okay, or garden, whatever you choose. We are not going to just put fencing around here. Remember, we're also going to put fencing from here to here, which is what distance? We should be adding 5 to my answer of 7.85. Remember, on all of these, you're rounding to the nearest tenth. Okay, so recheck that if you didn't get that part. Now let's take a peek at number 15 here. Okay, these were just a little bit tricky, and I'm going to talk about why in just a second. I'm going to get some extra paper down here so I can write. Okay, so a circle has a circumference. So if you guys draw yourselves a little picture, sometimes this helps. Circumference is your distance around the outside. Okay, so the distance around the entire outside is 28.26 centimeters. And here it's saying assume that we are going to use 3.14 to calculate the circumference. I want you to tell me what the diameter is. So we're given the circumference, so I'm going to use my circumference formula, okay, because that's going to help me solve for the diameter, because that's what the question's asking. What is the length of the diameter? So I know the circumference, which is letter C, is 28.26. So I'm going to replace C with 28.26. And it told me to use what for pi, guys? 3.14. So instead of using the symbol, I'm going to put in the 3.14 times diameter. You can put that little dot for multiplication there. You don't have to have it. Now this is just a one-step equation, guys. How would we solve for D diameter? What would we get rid of? What do we have to get rid of that's over on the side connected to the diameter? That 3.14. How are these connected? By multiplication, so we're going to do the inverse. Divide by 3.14 on both sides. So 3.14 divided by 3.14 cancels because it gives you 1. We want to know what the length of one diameter is. And now you're going to grab your handy dandy calculator. Let me get this off the screen here. And divide 28.26 divided by 3.14. And our diameter is 9 centimeters. Okay, number 16 is very similar to number 15. So refer back to this if you need some help with number 16. All right, last one I'm going to go over with you because this one was a hair tricky too. Remember here, it's just asking on number 17, find the area of a semicircle. So find the area as if you were finding the area of the entire circle and then divide it by 2. It just wants the space inside here. Okay, number 19. Okay, let's talk about what this one's doing. The circle has an area of 50.24 centimeters squared. We're going to assume 3.14 is used to calculate with pi. And we're being asked to find what is the length of the radius. So we're given an area. So I'm going to write my area formula. This is another reason why writing your formula is super important. Okay, so it's telling you that the area, capital A, is 50.24. So I'm going to replace A with 50.24. Okay, and it's telling me to use 3.14 for pi times my r squared. Now this is something a little bit different, so I'm going to talk about this carefully and I want you to listen carefully to the r squared. Okay, so you guys do know what to do to get rid of the 3.14. So this is connected to the r radius. Right now it's a radius squared. By what operation? Hopefully you said multiplication, so we're going to undo it by dividing both sides by 3.14. So these guys cancel. Now be careful here. R squared equals, so you got to bring down that r squared, and then use your calculator. 50.24 divided by 3.14 is 16. So be careful. R squared, remember what squared means. What number multiplied by itself, not by 2, what number multiplied by itself would give you 16? 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. 4 squared is 16. So my radius would be 4. Okay? Does that make sense, guys? Other thing, I don't want to throw you off, but I can show you this on the calculator. Okay? So look at where your squared button is. Does everybody see that? All right. So your squared button is to the left of the 7. So if you want the opposite of what's squared, it's the inverse, which is right up above it. Do you see that little symbol? That's called a square root. Okay? So the square root, I want to know what root number before it was squared was 16. So if you, anytime we want to get something that's above our key, we push that second button. So I'm going to push second and my squared button, and you're going to get that little square root symbol. And I want to find the square root of 16. And I'm going to close my parentheses. And if you push enter, it will give you that 4. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. So with that being said, number 20 is just like this one. Okay. So give those a whirl. If you have not turned that in yet, please get that into me. I'm checking work as we speak of the students who have turned it in so far. All right. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I'll see you later.